Make sure that audio is nice and loud for me, Matt. Hey guys, welcome to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. And good to be with you guys today. We have a really cool, interesting subject, and it is how to stay motivated to sing when you want to sing. So 10 genius tips on staying motivated. And Matt, we're getting a lot of music, so if we could pull that out, that'd be great. I'm assuming I'm live. Is that right?
Make sure that audio is nice and loud for me, Matt.
And I'm getting my
hey guys,
I'm getting my playback going here. Hold on. We're gonna get this going together, guys. So thanks for bearing with us. Always some interesting technical stuff to work on. I want to do some shout outs, man, to my notification squad. Hey guys, you guys rock, seriously. And I want to thank you for being first on it. I want to see, I'm going to put on my spectacles so I can make a spectacle of myself. By the way, Furry Murray was the first one on. Furry, you rock, from North Dakota, man. You're on new KTVA, or I saw you going in the forum, so that's awesome. And he says, I've already noticed solid improvements to my voice since I started. That's killer, dude. And they're going to get better and better. And we're going to talk more about that today. Ruben Searle says, hey, Asmund Sellen from Norway. Hey, Asmund, how you doing? Let's see here, all kinds of stuff. We've got some interesting things that I want to talk to you guys about, and I want to make sure enough people get signed on because I think a lot of people will really benefit from this. But if you guys could give me, if there's any, let me pull down my little window here and see if we've got Metal Militia 890. Hello from Kentucky, Lexington. Been a long time since I've been elected. Hey George, how you doing, man? Australia, Ruben Searle. God, you're up late, man. What time is it in Australia? Like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, tomorrow? Something like that? Yeah, it's like 16, 17, 18 hours in. Tell us what time it is over there, dude. Mad Vice, God bless United States. Amen. We need some blessing at this time and some clear-headed thinking. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of get started with this because I have a lot I want to cover as usual. But I want to talk about something just kind of from my own life's experiences. So before we get started again, I want to say 10 genius tips to stay motivated to sing. I could have cut these up into 30 tips, but I decided to make them more like 10 concepts or 10 genius concept tips. So it's going to be more than just a quick little nugget. I'm going to give you some life experience stuff. Anyway, and I want to also have you guys really slow down. Like, I know I talk fast and I cover a lot of material pretty quickly, but I'd really like for you guys just to absorb and chew and ruminate and digest on what I'm about to tell you. Because these things have really, really helped me stay motivated. And it's not easy, because, and I'll explain why. But I want to start off by talking about music in general, okay? Singing, but music. And if we're honest with ourselves, music can really take us places. I mean, it can catapult you back in time. It can remind you of a time in your life where, I was cruising down with my girlfriend, or something you were doing with your schoolmates, or a concert that you went to, or a girlfriend that you had or still have, or whatever, your song, so to speak. And so music is really unique. And one of my live streams, I covered how music is inextricably linked to memory. And we talked about how to remember, lyrics and stuff like that. Well, it also invokes emotion and a thought. So like, you'll have a song come on, and it'll remind you of a time in your life, and then all these feelings just swell up inside of you, and you're like, whoa, I just remember that, right? So music takes you in places with incredible emotional release. Okay, so I want to kind of start there because singing does that also. So music and singing. So I started with music. I'm going to parlay this into singing. So I love that Boston line. In fact, I just covered the song More Than a Feeling, and I lost myself in a familiar song. Remember that line in the song? And I thought about that. I thought, yeah, we lose ourselves in a familiar song, and all of our cares, all of our worries, all of our stresses and our to-do lists and all that stuff just kind of go away, and we lose ourselves in a familiar song. Well, that's also very true for singing. So it makes your heart happy, and it brings joy, or in some cases it can kind of make you melancholy and you remember something maybe bad that happened. I mean, it could go both ways, so you got to kind of be careful with this. For me, as you guys know, I'm a Christian. I'm not saying that gratuitously, but I want to talk about when I sing worship songs. So when I want to honor God and just thank the Lord, or some of you out there meditate or whatever you do, For me, it's just centers me, and I hate to use a metaphysical term like that, new agey term, but it really does. It centers me and it gets me grounded, and I just am able to kind of shut out the world and just thank God for everything He's done in my life, and just slow it down, slow my stress level down, slow my heart rate down, all those things. And music and singing in particular really, really does that. So number one, the very first tip, or concept tip, let's call it, is understanding your why. Why do you want to sing? Really think about that, guys. Don't I just want to sing because? No, understand your why. Sometimes it's not so much what or how that matters, but your why. The purpose behind what you're doing is really important because it's one of your biggest motivators. Okay, so if you go, okay, I'm doing this because, and we're going to get to different becauses in a minute, look beyond yourself. When you have to stay motivated, think of a bigger picture of something, okay? So you're trying to motivate yourself, you're saying, okay, well, why do I want to sing? What's my why? And is my why something that goes on just beyond my own little selfish things? Is there a bigger motivation than that? That's key. For me, I didn't necessarily want to be worshipped by people. I didn't necessarily want to have man look at me and tell me how great I was. Though there's an element of that. You want to be appreciated for your effort and your hard work, and you want people to listen to your story. Yes. Most of it for me was I wanted my peers, people that, and particularly guitar playing was bigger for me early on. I wanted to be acknowledged by my other peers of guitar players to acknowledge my contribution to guitar, and this translated into singing. So how does this relate not only to yourself, your singing that is, how does it relate to not only to yourself, but to others? What are you doing to affect other people in a positive, or in some cases negative way, but to invoke an emotion, or to get them to do something, or to get them to think about something? So how does your singing affect other people? How will it contribute to something important? Now that might sound real pie in the sky, but really think about it. Like, is it just you want to do a run and everybody goes, ooh, cool run, dude? Or is it, I've got a song, imagine there's no heaven, right? And I told you guys my story on that. I don't love the concept of the song because I believe in heaven and I want to go there someday, but it still provoked me to think about what he said. So, is this message that you're sending and that you're singing for, or your why, is it important? Is it something you want to say or contribute? Where will this make a difference? How will your singing make a difference? To accomplish something more and think bigger about your voice. Don't just, and again, this, you guys like, well, Ken, I just want to sing for myself. Okay, well, there's that. And then it's, self-healing and confidence and different things like that, or just a release emotionally or something that inspires you that way. That's cool. So I'm not trying to say world domination or to save the world, but I just want you guys to think of these concepts. Being clear about what you're working for can give you a stimulus to stay on course. So if you're only, let me use money as an example. Just to have money is very dissatisfying. You're going to say, well, just give me a little money and I'll tell you and I'll let you know later, right? There's that joke about it. But I know a lot of really wealthy people, and those people, most all of them are really dissatisfied, uptight, selfish, mean, and not all of them, but a lot of them. And it's because a lot of them don't have a lot to live for. Let me explain this. When we have to work for a living and we know what our why is, I got to put food on my table, I've got to feed my family, I've got to pay for my schooling, I've got to do whatever, my car payment, phone payment, whatever that is, we have a why and we have a purpose, and the purpose is I've got to survive and I've got to do X. But when you don't have a why, you're like, well, what's the point now? I have everything I want and there's nothing beyond that. An interesting story was, I forget the football player's name, but it was right after he won the Super Bowl. You would think that he was just on top of the world and the whole world was worshiping him or acknowledging his efforts, right? You'd think he'd be happy, and he actually went home that night and wanted to commit suicide because he said to himself, I've got the ring, the Super Bowl ring, whatever. I've got a Ferrari. I've got a beautiful wife, a family. I got all the money I couldn't even spend the money I have right now. What's the point in living? I've reached and I've attained the highest level of what I set out to ingratiate myself, to get the world to acknowledge me and myself. And there's no ceiling, there's nowhere to go beyond that. So it's important that we understand why we do what we do that should go beyond just ingratiating ourselves and contribute to affecting other people. This is really an incredible motivator. So that's number one. And I know this is heavy, you guys, but it's actually really cool if you're able to get your brain and wrap your brain around this, right? Number two, define your goal. Defined goals put your ideas into action mode. It's the vital step between planning and doing. So define it, like understand, like, well, what is my goal? What is my why, and where do I want to end up? Who do I want to be? You know, let's say this musically speaking or singing speaking, what do I want to be when I grow up? If I attain this goal, what does it look like? Is it a certain singer I want to model myself after, or a certain a level of political statement, religious statement, statement to make people all fall in love, whatever that is, right? I'm being kind of silly, but it's true. So it's the vital step between planning and doing. So you got to define the goal, understand what the goal is, make realistic goals, not too easy and not too hard. Put it in the middle. Now, some people say, I want to sing like Miles Kennedy, or I want to sing like Adam Lambert, or I want to sing like Christina Aguilera, or Mariah Carey, or Dimash, whatever that is. Look, your ultimate goal is good, and maybe that's your long-term goal, and we're going to need those. We'll talk about that in a second. But your immediate goals for the here and now, because you're defining your goals and you're making your plan, we're going to talk about that too, put them in the middle. Don't make it so easy that it was, easy peasy, that's too, a piece of cake. And not so hard that you get discouraged. Put them right square in the middle, just a little out of reach to make you reach for it. This helps create a clear vision, and creating a clear, compelling vision, something that you can relate to and resonate with. If it doesn't speak to your heart, it won't motivate you to stay on target or hold the course. That's really important. Now, so I said there's that component or that element or part of it, but create the highest, grandest vision possible. So if it is your favorite singer, Dimash, which would be way off the charts, or whomever the singer is, right? Still go for it. There's an old saying, shoot for the moon, or shoot for the stars, shoot for the stars. If you only shoot for the moon, you may never get off the ground, okay? So you may only hit the ceiling, so to speak. So shoot for the stars, man. Make your vision as big and grand as possible, because you can only achieve what you see. So if all you see is the ceiling, I'm only going to shoot for the ceiling, then you'll only hit the ceiling. But if you go, okay, well, I'm going to shoot for the ceiling right now as an interim goal, but I'm going to shoot for the stars as my ultimate goal, you can see yourself getting past the ceiling or the moon or whatever that is and move on to greater grandiose goals. This is really important. So have long-term goals and short-term goals. Be extremely optimistic about them and realistic, and commit to the end goal. So I want you really to commit to go, okay, I'm in this for the long haul, and it's maybe arduous, it may be this, it may be that, but I'm going to go for this long goal. Think of this like a sport. Think of singing like a sport, or learning a new musical instrument, because this is an instrument. It is a new musical instrument. It takes time. It takes patience. So produce a plan, and we'll talk about how to hone in the plan. And once you have a goal in place, a plan, it will take your vision and break it down into steps, baby steps, to accomplish it, okay? You'll take this step, this step, this step. And at first, you're going to go, I don't even see my progress. I'm not even seeing like I'm really going up. But over time, you're going to look back and go, wow, my altitude of looking from where I started down on where I was is pretty tremendous, and you will see it. It may not seem so as small and incremental as you're taking the steps, but it will definitely be there, and it will show up for you big time. So a goal without a plan, as we know, is just a dream, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Let me say it again. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you don't have a plan on failing, because you won't find the time, you'll get discouraged, you'll get distracted. Break goals into manageable tasks. Let's break them down into small incremental things. One important key to your success, will be your ability to break down your goals into shorter term and smaller tasks and keep things manageable and simple. So don't like have 20 different small tasks. Okay, I'm going to do 20 things. They're all small, but there's 20 of no. Small and simple. So go after just one thing. So let's say you're working on your voice. You're going, okay, today all I'm going to do is I'm going to break down diaphragmatic support. I don't care if I'm out of pitch. I don't care if I get the ah vowel. I don't care if I'm, managing my air correctly. All I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down. I'm going to make sure that I understand diaphragmatic support. And I cover this in my singing course. This is so important, where I lay down each step foundationally and how you build them one on another. You don't just take all of it in and think you're going to absorb it all at the same time. It doesn't work that way. Like guitar or like playing a sport, you break each element down. So I break it down saying support is the engine that drives your car. So start there. Go, okay, you know what? I'm not going to concern myself and get discouraged and bummed if I don't get my other things done. But if I get support done, man, I'm going to be happy with myself. And then I'm going to move on to the next thing. And I cover each step in my singing course. So number 3, get organized with your plan. Make sure your workplace is uncluttered. So if you're in a studio or your bedroom or something, make sure that you're not digging to try to find your recorder or your phone or your computer or whatever that is. Make sure it's consistent. You can walk into a workspace situation and it's just like I left. If you can, it's just like I left it, and I can depend on a clear, manageable workspace where I'm not trying to clear out a bunch of clutter and get ready every single time, put on my makeup just so I can get ready to sing, right? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that it's an easy, uncluttered space so the mind can be organized and your plan is clear. So you won't have to reinvent your workouts every time. So as you're going in, you're going to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to put up together this plan. You're going to sit down with a piece of paper and you go, okay, Ken said these are the most important building blocks for singing. First is my support. Second is the breath and the relaxation response. Okay. Third is open throat vowels. It's the la, ah. And then we go into ping is king. And then we go on to vowel modifications and all these different things that work in concert with each other in succession in order of priority. You're going to break one down and you're going to break the next one down. And you're going to chart this out and you're going to look at it and you're going to say, okay, on Monday through Friday or Monday, whatever your workout schedule is. Or let's talk about that too. Schedule, putting together the schedule. Okay, every day, if you can, from 9 to 10 in the morning or from 5 to 6 in the evening, I'm going to do my workouts. And you're not going to let things distract you or get in the way of that. We're going to talk about that too in a second. And that's your beginning of your plan. So you're going to write this down going, okay, my first thing is, here's the time I'm going to set aside. I'm committing to this time. The second thing is, I'm not going to let distractions get in the way. We're going to talk about multitasking in a minute. But I'm going to work on diaphragm. Then I'm going to work on breathing. Then I'm going to work on open throat. Then I'm going to work, and you're going to go through this checklist of things. And then as you look back, you're going to go, wow, they're all starting to work in concert with each other. They're all working together to where I don't even really have to think about it. We're going to go from unconscious incompetent, we've talked about this before, I don't know what I want and I don't know how to get there, to conscious incompetent, I know what I want, I wrote it down, I'm not quite sure how to get there, but I've got a plan. Ken Tamplin is helping me out. I bought his course, or I'm doing some of his YouTube videos, right? And I'm in his free singing forums at kentamblinvocalacademy.com. So I've got a plan, and I'm gonna conscious incompetent to conscious competent. Okay, I know what I want, and I'm seeing results, and I know how to get there, and I'm seeing now this is how my plan is working. To unconscious competent. Now I'm doing this stuff, and I don't have to think about it. It comes naturally. It's second nature. It's subconscious, right? So this is the plan to get from unconscious incompetent all the way to unconscious competent. And we will get there, and it will happen. So don't reinvent yourself every day, every time you do a workout. That's discouraging. Know what your plan is. Be okay with that. And when you feel comfortable, move on to the next phase of your plan. A calm, dependable environment gives you a better chance of being more efficient and productive. So again, if you have your stuff together and you have it all worked out, you're going to utilize your time, you're going to manage your time, and it's going to be effective time. So it's going to be focused time rather than distracted, loosey-goosey, all over the road kind of time. Okay, the next one is, what was that? Create a mental picture of completing your job will increase your chances of success. So this is a weird one because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a new agey guy at all, but this really did help me to create a vision or visualize myself and my success. And let me explain this. It doesn't mean like, all of a sudden because I visualized myself as a great singer, ta-da, I became a great singer. It means that when I first started playing guitar, when I first started taking the guitar really seriously and practicing 6, 7, 8 hours a day, yes, I did that for many, many years, I actually pictured, I don't know why, this was my motivation for this as playing guitar, and I translated that into singing, was I imagined myself in this giant arena, and I was there taking a solo, and the spotlight was directly on me, and the whole world was listening to me play my solo. Now, it wasn't because I wanted to be worshipped. It wasn't because I wanted the whole world necessarily to hear just that solo, but it was holding myself to task that if and when I got that shot, I would be prepared at any given time to step into that platform, into that podium, onto that stage, and throw down and pull it off. So my motivation was that if someone were to watch me and see me, that boom, I got this covered. I got this, right? Well, I translated that into singing. So I visualized that. I also visualized myself being able to sing higher. Now, this sounds really weird, but like I've told you many times, early on, I was relegated and told that I could only sing an F-sharp 4, and that's a really low note. But I actually pictured myself singing higher notes and what it would feel like to sing a higher note, how it would take the pressure off of me and my body shutting down, trying to get and pinch and squeeze to get to that note, to relax and just release and get to a note. It was revolutionary for me. I mean, it was a revelation, literally, where all of a sudden, a few times I was able to get to certain notes I could never sing before, just because I thought about the concept that it's not about the high note. It's about the engine that supports the note, the strength in the abdomen, the relaxation response between the chest, the neck, and the throat, correct vowel placement, and giving yourself permission to freely hit the note rather than the mind thinking of it. I'm climbing the ladder. I've got to get to the top of the top stair and Mount Everest. I'm going to stake my flag into the top as a pole to the top of the note, the highest note. No, I stopped looking at notes being high, and notes became easier and easier and easier because I understood the mechanic that it wasn't about a high note. It was about strength in the abdomen, the foundation, the pillar to hold up the note, the strength, the relaxation response, the permission, relaxing the chest, the neck, and the throat, not binding up, and good vowel placement, depending on where I was in the scale. This is the vowel that I sing, and relaxing into that note and giving myself permission. This visualization helped me like crazy. So it's an incredible tip. So when you practice, singing for other people or a loved one in your church or your school, think of yourself on stage as a motivation and giving yourself permission to get there without the encumbrance of the bad guy in you saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, don't listen, you can't, don't listen to that. Move on. Number 5, make it a habit, a routine. Guys, like I was saying about getting your pen out and getting the plan. So now you're implementing the plan and you're making this a daily routine, hopefully daily or every other day or whatever time constraints you have or time you can invest into this. Laying out your goals in a routine so they're done in advance, so you're not reinventing your workouts every time you sing. So you know what you're going to do. You know what your plan is. I'm going to go through Ken's volume 1. I'm going to do diaphragmatic support, and then I'm going to do the breathing, and then I'm going to do the ah vowel. And that's all I'm going to do for this week. And then next week, I'm going to do the ah and the ah vowel. And then the next week, I'm going to do ah, ah, and a. And next week, I'm going to do ah, ah, a, and e, or whatever that is. But plan your workouts and get in a routine of this. And do this every time you sing, because otherwise it's going to be too exhausting and discouraging. And I think, now what am I going to do? I'm going to start from scratch. Where do I even start? I'm groping in the dark like a blind person with one of those sticks, trying to find my way. No, This will give you very specific routine schedule planning that will help you stay motivated. Building this habit makes it much easier, and singing is like exercise. It is exercise. Sometimes it's hard to start, but you're really glad when you did. And so set aside a schedule and be a consistent time and be consistent with it. The next thing, what I would do is whenever I accomplish something, I'd reward myself. I know it sounds weird, but it's really cool. And I reward myself. It could be, I like dark chocolate, so I'm kind of like, and I don't use a lot of sugar chocolate, but I'll drink, drink some chocolate, yeah. I eat a piece of high level cacao, 82, 83, 84, 5%, whatever. I'd reward myself with a piece of chocolate, or a cup of tea that I liked, or sometimes back in the day when I would drink a lot and I stopped drinking. It's been almost a year now since I've stopped drinking, pretty hard to do. But I would reward myself with a glass of wine or something, after I accomplished something, whatever. But find a healthy habit of rewarding yourself with something. And it could even be that, hey, I did my workout today. I've been wanting to dive into this song that I want to sing. So I may not sing the whole song. I don't have time, but I'm just going to sing the verse. And I reward myself with seeing how my workouts got my vocals to be placed nice and high. And because they're placed high, it was easier for me to sing that verse or that chorus. So it's even better if you could reward yourself with something that you're doing singing wise. And that's really awesome, because then you get the yahoo of your efforts. So that takes away the dreaded task of singing or working out. And it sets up a system of rewards for completion. Like I said, it could be chocolate, it could be singing karaoke. Another thing is, speaking of karaoke and speaking of rewards, the reward may not be that instant. You may say to yourself, you know what? I worked hard this week. And so this weekend, I'm going to go sing karaoke. Well, why that's interesting is, or I'm going to sing for my church, or I'm going to sing at a school play, or I'm going to, go busking. I don't care what that is. But whatever it is, it's interesting because if you tap into other people's energy, big performers do this all the time. Their greatest performances usually are when the audience has good audience participation and response. You're actually piggybacking off of their energy to give you energy to get better. To get better at singing, get better at performing. The energy level is crazy. So you're actually siphoning off, or you're channeling, I hate to use another metaphysical term, but it's true. You're actually taking their energy and you're channeling that energy through yourself, and you're actually getting better and getting more of this because you're playing off of their energy. So it's really cool. Now, this is how performers do so well when they're on stage, and it will help you stay seriously motivated. And find a way to make this fun, you guys. This shouldn't be just some big arduous, hey, I gotta get up and do my workouts today. I don't really feel. Sometimes there'll be that, just like there is when you go exercise. But let me give you another example of this. I've started doing my push-ups again. Back in the day, a few years back, I used to do 1,000 push-ups every other day. And I started to wear out my rotator cuffs and some other things, so I stopped doing that many. But I'm back up to about 250 push-ups every other day. Now, do I like to do 250 push-ups every other day? Not necessarily, but I love the way it makes me feel. I get crazy energy. I feel nice and strong. When I go lift a 5-gallon Sparkletts bottle, I go up the stairs like it's nothing, because it makes me feel good. So after the after effect of what this is how I feel, afterwards. I just feel great, right? And you will too after you do your workout. You go, man, I'm so glad I did that. So sing songs, like I said, or parts of songs that you love. Find the joy and satisfaction. Make it fun in your workouts and progress. And remind yourself how fun and exhilarating it is to sing, because after you've gone, I'm so strong now, like my workouts for doing push-ups, right? That when I go to do a task, I go swimming or doing something that I love, it's easy. I don't have to work at it. So when I go to sing, wow, I'm kicking butt. And it's awesome because I've done my workouts. I'm so strong. I don't have to sit there and pat my eyebrow and sweat wondering if I'm going to be able to finish a set or a song or a high note or whatever that is. So it's exciting, and it's a rush. It is a rush. Singing, when you're on and people are loving it and you're really making them smile and you're having a good time and you're feeding off their energy, there's no greater rush that I can think of than singing. And singing's kind of different than a sport. And let me explain this part. Is when you're in a sport, it's a team effort. And it's like, if it's soccer, you got 11 guys on a field and you all participate in the rush. And that's kind of true as a band to some extent. When you're a guitar player taking a solo, that's, you're the soloist, right? But when you're singing, you're the guy out front, and really it's a one-man sport in that sense. So you're kind of getting the benefit of being the star player on the team the whole time, and that's a rush. I'm telling you, man, it's pretty cool. Number 7, monitor or measure your progress. This is important, guys, because a lot of times it's easy to get discouraged. You go, I don't see any progress, blah, 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 right? But actually, try to get a little digest or a notebook or something, kind of diary or something. Measure your progress and measure only one thing. Don't look at the total sum of your workout and say, it sucked, I didn't get anywhere. Go, I may have not gotten all the things I wanted to get done, or accomplish, I should say, but I did master and get to a new level of support. Or I did master and get a new level at ping, it's the la, or I did master something in my course or my videos or whatever you're doing, a song, a line, hey, I got farther in the verse of that song than I've ever gotten staying on pitch, or whatever that is. Write it down. You're going to see that all of a sudden your wins, so to speak, all these wins that you have, you're going to look back at your wins and you're going to go, wow, I've got 10 wins in the last 2 weeks. And if I had just not written it down, I'm only getting a little better. This really sucks. No, you're going to look back and go, this is really cool. It's working. It's working. Just like the guy who posted today, the very first guy, it wasn't a paid political announcement. I forget who it was, but it was our first guy who was on first today. He said, I've only been doing it a short period of time and I'm already seeing progress. That is a testimony, folks. It works. And it gets exponentially better over time. So monitor and measure progress, even if it's small, and don't worry about what you can't control. Worry about what you can control. What you can't control, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't save the world. You can't be all that you want to be as a singer right away. Worry about what you can control, because that will directly affect what you can't control. And the more you worry about what you can control, your boundaries increase and get bigger, and your horizons get bigger and bigger. And it directly affects what you can't control until you start chipping away at the things you can't control, and those become things that you can control, okay? Only be concerned with what you can control, because this will definitely keep you from getting discouraged. Things that cause lack of motivation is discouragement. What if I fail? Right? Remind yourself, the world needs to hear your story, guys. I know I've said this before. This isn't just some motivational speech. They really do. Because your experiences are unique. No one has them. You may have all kinds of things no one ever else has ever gone through. I do. I've shared my video, what made Ken Tamplin. How did I become Ken Tamplin? Well, it wasn't a bed of roses, guys, but I'm glad for those experiences. They were hard, and I'm glad that I could share them with you to encourage and inspire you to be all you can be. Only you have knowledge that no one else has, and realize that people who are winning and kicking butt right now are no better than you. Did you hear what I said? Let me say it again. Only you have knowledge that no one else has, and realize that people that are out there kicking butt right now are no better than you. You know what separates them? They just want it more than you, and they're willing to work at it. That's the only thing that separates them from you. You say, oh, Ken, what about natural talent? Yeah, there is that. There is that. But I wasn't born a naturally gifted singer. I wasn't even born a naturally gifted guitar player. Yngwie Malmsteen, I'm sure, came out of the womb practically playing way better than I did. I had to work at it. I had to spend extra hours. The old story of the tortoise and the hare. But let me tell you something. The interesting thing is, almost all the people, with few exceptions, that had advantage on me physically or more gifted than me early on, the tortoise and the hare, they stopped short of the finish line, and I kept going, and I crossed the finish line. Like I've said this before, I'm 56, I'll be 57 this year. I've never sung better. I've got some songs coming out, guys. I just did Zeppelin's Since I've Been Loving You. Pretty tough tune to sing. I did that one. I've got Perfect Strangers. I've got some Motley Crue coming up, some other stuff coming up. And I just sang these recently. I'm at the top of my game, and I show no signs of slowing except for if I stop. If I stop, I drop. I got to keep holding the course. I got to work out like everybody else. There's no exceptions. I'm not an exception. People that are great at what they do, they still have to work out. They may not show you they're doing it, but trust me, they do. No one is immune from this. Everyone has to do it. And what I was saying about the other people that were my, guys that I looked up to, almost all of them can't even sing anymore because they didn't understand all the mechanics that it took to go into maintaining and growing and maintaining good vocal health for all these years. They've lost their voices and they depended solely on their talent or their gift. I didn't. I depended on understanding the mechanics of what it took to take that gift and grow it and get it to mature over time. So that's very important. So they were willing to work at it, or anyone that's great at it. The only people that are kicking butt better than you right now is because they're willing to work at it. So you should be willing to work at it too. Number 8, tackle procrastination head on. Head on, guys. Don't procrastinate. Just do it. Don't stop and wait for anything. Get started. Once you get started, 2/3 of all of the feeling of it being arduous or intimidating or whatever, it melts and you're just started. When I go to do my push-ups every day, every other day, I say to myself, I don't really feel like doing this right now. I'm just going to drop and give myself 10. The minute I do that, a minute I drop and give myself 10, yeah, I'm going to do 250, but the minute I drop and do 10, I'm like, that was pretty easy. I'm going to go back to work, sip a little tea, drop and do 10 more. I do 10, and then I do, all right, I feel good, I'm gonna do 15. Feeling better, I'm gonna do 20. And then before I know it, I'm in 25, 30 or whatever, and I'm doing, whatever. And whatever I feel like too, I'm not pushing myself beyond feeling cruddy or, hurting myself. But it's amazing that the second I start, boom, I'm motivated. And if I don't start, I talk myself out of it. Don't do that. So tackle procrastination head on. Don't make excuses or waste time rationalizing why you haven't already started. Instead, try to uncover the real reason for the delay and get to work immediately. The best way to begin something is just to begin. Just start it. Don't wait for conditions to be perfect. Forget that noise. Remember this. A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. Let me say it again. A good plan today, right now, start now. A good plan. A mediocre plan is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. I used to work with a company called Rothstein and Memzik, and they were a huge advertising agency out of Los Angeles, Beverly Hills. And Jerry Rothstein was my business partner for many years at a company I had called New Game Media. And they were all, big grads of the art school, which is a big fancy school in LA for, creating big campaigns for major corporations, right? That's a huge accounts. And Jerry said something so prolific to me and such a revelation to me. It always stuck with me. And he said, ideas are a dime a dozen. Now, by the way, this company was called RM Ideas. That was the name of his company. That was one of the biggest ad agencies in the world. He says, ideas are a dime a dozen. And there's a million really good ones out there. I will take a mediocre idea with someone that's willing to implement it and see it to its end way before I'll take an idea that's great with no one to walk it through. Think about that. I'll take a mediocre idea or a mediocre plan if someone that's willing to put the sweat equity and elbow grease into it to see it to its end, because he said in the end, I know that plan will succeed. A mediocre plan will become an excellent plan or a perfect plan because that person took the time and consistency and effort to walk it through to its success. A genius plan or a perfect plan with no one motivated to see it to its end, it means nothing. There's a lot of great singers, I'm sure, that are in the closet that we've never heard about because they've never really put it out there and gone to that degree. Number 9, don't multitask. Don't divide your attention, but give your full and undivided attention to undivided self. Give your attention, your full and undivided attention to your undivided self, so that at the task at hand. So in other words, don't be texting while you're doing your lesson. Try not to drive if you can help it while doing your lesson. Though sometimes I had to do that a lot going to practice. But try to minimize this. Don't be talking, don't be writing, don't be on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Stay focused. Don't split your time up into a lot of other things because you're diluting the potency of your workout. Don't do that. Stay focused. Stay undistracted. Don't multitask, because when you do, when you do stay focused, your chances of success go way up. Starve your distractions. You'll miss important concepts, and you'll develop bad practice habits. You won't even know you're getting into it, but you'll be doing your scales, you'll be on the phone, you'll be texting, you'll be on Instagram or whatever, and you won't realize that you're developing a bad practice habit for breathing. You're not breathing through every breath. You're not relaxing between each phrase. You're not doing this, whatever. And you're so distracted with all these that you're dividing up your the potency of your practice, or the laser pointed perfection of your practice. Do what you need to do to stop being distracted by people, tasks, or electronics. Devise strategies to help you start and complete tasks without any distraction or interruptions. Lock yourself in the room. Turn your phone off. Turn whatever off you got to turn off. Tell everybody, I'm in here for an hour, guys. I'll see you in an hour, right? Could you guys imagine if I'm talking to you right now and all of a sudden I pick up my phone? Oh, excuse me, guys, hold on a second. Yep, now I'm talking to someone up the stairs. Oh, wait, I gotta tune my guitar. Give me a second, I'll be right. You know, I'd lose you, right? Immediately. Well, you'll lose yourself in distraction and become discouraged because you're not seeing the progress that you want to see, because you've diluted your practice time. So, having too many things on your plate is a motivational killer. It's a killer. So, don't do it. Number 10, burnout. This is the last one. Burnout. Big one. Huge one. It's okay to take a day or two off. I recommend it. When doing my course, I recommend you do 6 days a week and take 1 day off. I personally take Sundays off, okay? So try to be consistent all the way commit to a certain amount of days or time through days or whatever, right? And be okay with taking a little time off. If you get burnt out, ask yourself why. Did you not give yourself enough rewards? Did you not have fun while you were doing it? What caused the burnout? Ask yourself that question, but then do it at a time where you take a couple days off. Not too many. Not 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off, a month off. A couple days, 3 days even, whatever. It's okay. It's okay to get to that point and resharpen the saw. Now, there's an old saying, where you have the saw and you're sawing away, and if the blade gets dull, it stops being effective, okay? So take time off, sharpen the saw, sharpen the blade, so when you come back, you're laser pointed, and boom, your progress or your practice time is the perfection of it is much greater. So it's okay to take a day or two off, but not too long. You don't want to lose ground that you covered. The muscle memory, because you're building muscle structure. So just like working out, you don't want to, now I got to go back to 10s and I was up to 20s. Darn it. Don't want to let that happen. Your brain is a suggestion machine. What does that mean? Your brain is a suggestion. What you suggest in your brain, what you put into it, you can program your brain to be positive. You can program your brain to be excited. You can program your brain to think positive things, or you can program your brain to be negative things. Oh, this is intimidating. This is too much. This is too hard, right? So your brain is a suggestion machine. Remind it of how far you've come and where you're going. All the way back to tip number 1, your why. Why are you doing this, right? Remind yourself. Remotivate yourself with your why. That's why your why is so important, because it sets your ultimate goal of where you want to go and the purpose why you're doing it. You're not doing it because, I like working out and torturing myself. I'm a masochist. No, you're doing it with an end game. So remind yourself your why, refresh yourself with your why, and come back to that. Stop, just sing songs for a little bit. Take a break. Sing some fun songs. Go have a good time with it. Remember, reward yourself. Have fun with it. Break monotonous patterns. That's the Groundhog Day. Same old. I'm doing the same thing every day. This is so boring and monotonous. Well, no one likes to eat the same meal over and over again. We want variety. So let's change it up a little bit. So, I've been working on this diaphragmatic thing for so long. Now, I know I'm supposed to build this in succession, like Ken said, but I'm going to take a little break and I'm going to deviate from this just a little bit. I'm going to change it up and I'm going to do something else. And instead of I got an hour to work with, let's say, and instead of 50 minutes or 45 minutes of working out and 15 minutes of singing, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to warm up for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm going to sing for 30 minutes songs I love just for fun. I'm going to change it up and keep away from these monotonous patterns. Now, we're talking about burnout, so I want to remind yourself of what this tip was. Get good sleep as you can, you guys. Don't try your workouts and go, man, I'm exhausted. I just don't feel like it, Get good sleep, take care of your body, take care of yourself, try to get some exercise, eat well. These things all matter. I have a whole thing I'm going to do on health for singing, so we'll get to that too. And I have some great videos on this too. I'll try to put those in the description if I can remember. Fatigue, being fatigued physically, is a motivational killer. Now, it's okay. I mean, I admit this. I didn't do drugs when I was younger. I stopped doing drugs when I was 14, but I did drink a mean cup of coffee in the morning, and I would fill up the entire filter all the way to the top with coffee grounds and stick my cup directly underneath it until it was about half to 3/4 full. Then I'd take 2 huge scoops of sugar or honey and then fill the rest of it up with cream, and that was my breakfast. Ew, not good for you. I did that for years until I developed an allergy to coffee and I couldn't drink it at all anymore because I abused it, right? So I'm not suggesting drink coffee. I'm confessing that I did do that to stay motivated in the morning to get up and give me because I was doing these blistering, 30-second note fast lead stuff, and it's really hard to, be that hyped out. But it really messes with your adrenal glands, and it really messes, because you're living on adrenaline, it can really affect you. So don't do that. But just do some healthy things. I wrote down some healthy things. Green tea is okay. And green tea, yeah, throw some honey and some cream in it, or some almond milk, or something healthy. Dark chocolate is really good, and it's healthy, and these are both anti-inflammatories, so they're both healthy energy. They're both okay to do. Goji berries, right, are really good. So find something energetic. What I used to do too, and this might sound kind of funny, but is I used to play music that excited me before I'd get started. So I'm kind of getting ready and I'm making my coffee, whatever, and I'm some great lead or some song I want to sing or whatever, and I'd play music before I'd get started because it energized me and it motivated me, right? Kept me from burnout. So when I start to burn out, I just put on some music that I love, or I remind myself of a song I wanted to sing. I put it on, and it reminds me, it re-sparks, it reignites why it was I wanted to do it. It help me with burnout. Most likely you'll regret, by the way, if you quit. I'm telling you straight up. Be respectful of yourself. Give yourself a break. Man, I've been working hard on this. It's okay. I'm gonna pace myself. I'm not trying to become some great soccer player or some great athlete or some great singer overnight. It's okay. It's gonna take time. Give yourself a break. Give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission for it to take time. That's okay. Be proud of yourself. Give yourself some kudos. That's what the rewards thing was all about. Don't listen to negative people. I know I covered that, but surround yourself with like-minded, positive people. It's really important. Think about, I wrote down an analogy that I like a lot. It's a rose analogy I came up with here. When we plant a rose seed, and I'm going to leave us with this, I'll open it up for some questions. When we plant a rose seed in the earth, we notice that it's small, but we don't recognize it or think of it as rootless and stemless. It's a seed. It's a rose seed. I'm planting this rose seed. I'm planting this opportunity to sing. I'm planting the seed of singing in my soul, in my character, my nature, my desire. So we don't think of it as being, rootless or stemless, stemless. We treat it as a seed. We give it water and nourishment required for a seed. When it first shoots up out of the earth, we don't condemn it as immature and underdeveloped. You suck. It's a rose seed. We're excited. We see this little sprout come out of the ground. Hey, look, man, check that thing out. It's starting up. That's pretty cool. Look at that. Nor do we criticize the buds for not being open when they appear. Boom. This bud comes out. Yeah, it's only a bud. Yeah, it's not big and beautiful and fully maturated and effervescent in its smell. No, we don't criticize that. We stand in wonder at the process. We look back and we go, started out as a seed. It stemmed into the ground. It sprouted up. We got excited. It got bigger and bigger. It got stems. All of a sudden, it's got these buds. And then at the process, as we stand in wonder of it taking place and giving the plant the care it needs at each stage of its growth process and its development, then the rose is a rose. And from the seed, from the time it comes to the time it dies, and it opens up and becomes this amazing rosebud flower. When it flowers up and it just goes, wow, and it maturates. That's who we are. That's what we do. We start small as a seed and we grow into this flower. And it's a development process, and we nurture it, and we don't discourage it, we don't throw down on it. And so it seems to be constantly in the process of change, right? am I ever going to get to the budding, opening up as a flower stage? Yeah, you will get there. But at each stage and at each moment, it's perfectly all right, just as it is. At each stage of its growth and development, it's okay. It's perfectly the way it's supposed to be. Don't discourage yourself and think it's not enough. It's not growing fast enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not watering it enough. I'm not giving it enough water. I'm not, berating and belittling it because it didn't become what I thought it should be. So guys, thank you for joining me. I'm going to open this up for some comments and suggestions and whatever, some questions. The next one is going to be how to love the sound of your voice. And that's going to be interesting because it may not be what you think it is, and you're going to like that one. But I want to open it for some questions. So questions from Tyler. I'm only going to take a few moments to do this. I want to do a shout out again to my notification squad. You guys seriously rock. Tyler, tips sound like John Mayer and Jack Johnson. Any tips, experiences? Yeah, they actually both are, in fact, John Mayer has lost his voice and gone through a couple surgeries, from what I understand. Try not to use the same air that he uses, and I cover this on the glottal compression part of my singing course and some on YouTube videos. You can sing like them, but you need to understand how to use the air properly and how to release that air so that you're not overusing the air to dry your vocal folds themselves. Neither one of them uses very good diaphragmatic support, so I recommend doing that first and then understanding how to use a correct amount of air. Melissa, I'm 41 and I got KTVA last year and I've been serious about this year. Now that I'm on lockdown and staying home with my mom, she's getting irritated that I practice each day and she says, I'm too old. Any suggestions to help me stay motivated? Tell her she's too old. Yes, I just covered them. So hopefully what I just said with all the different processes of what I just said will help you. So that question I probably should have asked, it had been asked before I went through the process of this. So if this didn't answer it, go ahead and refeed us the question later after you've gone through all the suggestions that I've made. Ruben, I'm practicing 3 hours a day. Is that too long? Yeah, think about this. I don't know what your voice can hold up to, but when you go into a gym and you start to work out, are you in the gym for 3 hours? No, you're probably in there for 20 minutes. And you want to get good. It's not just, again, practice that makes perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. And if you just practice, you could be building bad habits. So remember, be consistent with good information that's going to help you get to certain stages. And over practicing could overstress the voice. Now, maybe you can handle it. I don't know what kind of a singer you were beforehand, if you're new and you're just going in, but very few muscle structures can handle that kind of rigorous exercise going right into it. We really want to build up to that carefully with correct information. Melissa, again, I do more than an hour a day. Now volume 2, kicked my ass. Is this normal? Absolutely. Yep, it sure is. Even my own workouts to this day, I do like 75 minutes before I do my 3, 4, 5 hours of teaching and do singing videos and stuff. To this day, man, they still kick my butt, but they're designed that way. They're just a little out of my reach so that when I do it, I'm good and I'm ready to go. Now, if you go hoarse, or if something happens, you feel like you pulled something or something like that, that's not good. That's never good. Hoarse is never good. Sore can be okay. We're in the gym working out. A little bit sore can be okay. Hoarse is never okay. So, pace yourself, again, because if it kicks your ass to the point where you don't want to do it anymore, well, that's discouraging. So pace yourself, reward yourself, do the things I just covered just now, a minute ago. Ruben, I'm doing 3 hours a day is simple enough for me. Ruben, I just answered your question. An hour is not simple enough for me. Monitor and check and make sure that you're actually making progress and you're not tearing down muscle structure rather than building up muscle structure. Matthew, I've got a question. My singing education was simply imitation of my favorite artist, Josh Groban. How do you identify bad habits that may have resulted from this method? Well, 2 things. One thing is Josh Groban is somewhere between wanting to be like Frank Sinatra and throwing a little operatic overtones in that. I haven't heard you, so I suggest, Matthew, you go into my singing forums and post some stuff so that my very competent moderators can give you some good quality free feedback on that. But if you imitate only one singer, you're probably never going to be even as good as just that one singer, so you're going to be below that singer, and you really need to expand your palette of other singers and hear why they do what they do. But without hearing what it is that you're imitating, I don't know what part of Josh Groban you're imitating, but remember, I have in my singing course the elements that I'll do it again. Diaphragmatic support, strengthen the sound, understanding the call register. Ping is king. Josh Groban doesn't really have that. He's like Harry Connick Jr. and Frank Sinatra. Tony Bennett. They have that kind of warm, round sound, but it's not a sound that truly grows the voice. So if you want your voice to reside only in that kind of sound, that's what you're doing to yourself when you do that. So you really need to step outside of that conundrum and that paradox and get into a different paradigm so that you can increase your palette for singing. Smokey Bear, what's up, Smokey Bear? Let's see what's going on here. Yo, Ken, how do you keep the roof of your mouth from getting sore when singing? Well, I don't know that your roof of your mouth should get sore. What do you mean by that? Send us another note on that, because if you mean the soft palate in the back, the soft palate shouldn't get sore. You're just trying to raise your soft palate and your uvula up and stretch them to create maximum space in the back of the throat. If it's getting sore, meaning that you're feeling like you're building tension, well, slow down, kind of massage your throat a little bit. Get in there like we talked about the laryngeal massage on one of the other live streams, and take a break here and there and just kind of gently go back and try to re-stretch the soft palate. Ford Schuler, my voice is tired, not sore, just tired after a day of singing. Should I take it out? You can. Try to understand why it's getting tired. Are you using too much air? Is there not a good ping in the sound? Are you not using good diaphragmatic strength? So it's not that you just take the day off. If you're doing it wrong, you're just breaking down muscle structure. You're never really growing it in a way that will come back and get stronger and bigger. So you need to really ask yourself, why is it getting sore? Are you using too much air? Post something in our singing forum so we can help you, Ford. And I cover all of this thoroughly in my singing course. So I don't know if you're doing my course, but it doesn't sound like you are, or chances are that wouldn't be happening. Revan JJ, King Diamond rocks and is 63. Age is a number, and it seems that taking care of your instrument, your vocal cords, really does work. Dang, this is great motivational in general. It's true. You're right. Absolutely. Look at Paul Rogers. He's like 70 or something. He's killing it. Like, wow, crazy. Austin Janutal, a person with no prior singing experience, do you think I could finish volume 1 and start volume 2 in 2 to 4 months? Yeah, I do. I'd give myself, again, instead of placing a time constraint or a stopwatch on, I got to finish by this point in time, think of it more like, wow, if I really finished volume 1, just volume 1, like people think, it's like first grade. No way. If you get past volume 1 and you really truly understand even just diaphragmatic support and the ping of the ah vowel and some relaxation and some good vowel mods, dude, you have more information than 90% of the high-end professional singers out there. I kid you not, people that sing professionally for a living. If you really grasp and can apprehend volume 1, then your information that you have is more information and more executable and usable information with a practical application for singing than 90% of singers that are singing professionally. So think of it more like, wow, in 6 weeks or 2 months, did I really get volume 1? That's awesome. Can I move on to volume 2? Absolutely. Absolutely. A couple, 3 months. Yeah. Mr. Kabasa, do you know any old vocalists that have crawled out of their vocal pit? Many. I teach them all day long. Almost 2 or 3 times a week, I've got a person that's maybe in the 50s, 60s, in some case 70s, that had struggled and can't believe and wish they had this information a long time ago, and in a very short order are pulling themselves out. Now, I want you guys to remember about singing when older. Singing is a muscle, actually a group of muscles. We've talked about this. And they grow well into your 70s, just like anyone doing a marathon or anyone wanting to do any kind of physical activity. It's a group of muscles, right? Grow and grow they will. Now, maybe not as robust and as quickly as they did in your 20s, but grow they will with correct information and consistency. All right, Martin, Jeff Flash at Ken Tamplin. A few tips on getting powerful rasp. Well, there's no such thing as a tip on powerful rasp. You have to build up this muscle structure. You have to learn to sing clean and clear first. And then once you do that, which is far from a tip, the tip is don't go straight to that and understand how to sing well and clean first in order to be able to grow good muscle structure that can handle the load of hyperglottal compression and leaning into a sound for a desired effect of different degrees and levels of distortion for tone and for grit and gravel and whatnot. So Joseph Gambino, and this is a last question, guys. Joseph Gavino, what should I do to avoid getting nervous and not practicing effective in front of others or at home? Great question. And Joseph, I have covered some of that. I have a live stream. I've talked about that quite a bit. I'm going to do a session on that, Joseph. So hold that thought. Please remember it. I promise I'll get back to it. Zachary, so Joseph, I will get to that question, but give me a minute to get to it because it's a whole concept, and I did cover that in a live stream, so we're gonna revisit that as well. I'm gonna answer Zachary's question last. I lose the ability to do vibrato when I sing higher and attempt to stretch my chest voice. How can I overcome that? That's usually a support issue. It's also a relaxation response. Worry more about the vowel placement first, making sure the placement of the vowel is correct and sustaining that placement first. And then once you do that, you relax into a state of oscillation, which is vibrato. I'm going to do a whole stream on vibrato, so hang in there, Zachary. That's coming up as well. Guys, thank you for joining me. God bless all you guys. Again, my shout-out crew for my notification squad. You seriously rock. Don't forget, next Saturday, this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific, it's going to be your voice is delicious. How are you going to love the sound of your voice? And we're going to get to that. So I'll see you guys next Saturday at 9 a.m. And until next time, God bless you. Peace out.